Good evening, viewers, and welcome to another edition of our program inside the Red Chamber. I know it's been over a year since we had this program for reasons that were beyond my control, but we are back on air, and I promise you that going forward we will try and bring you more updates as often as we can. But for this week, as part of our program, we are looking at three key issues that have dominated the Senate, and that will still be part of the major issues as the 8th Senate gradually ramps up its activities. I will bring you some of these issues, but I need to go on a brief break. I'll be back shortly. Alright, welcome back. Like I told you, the 8th Senate, which is almost on its way out, was inaugurated by this current administration on the 9th of June 2015. As you are very much aware, the person was anointed by the leadership of the ruling All Progressive Congress, Ahmad Lawan. Last minute miscalculation, he got his fingers burnt, and the man who was like the underdog, the current Senate President, Bukola Saraki, emerged through some form of collaboration with the major opposition party, the PDP. Throughout the reign of the man in office, there was serious turbulence. There were several attempts to remove him through legitimate and illegitimate means, depending on the side of the divide you belong to. There were also several attempts to undermine the assembly. The major high point of this was when the National Assembly was invaded by armed thugs on the 18th of April 2018. They got away with the mace, which is the symbol of authority of the parliament, and as I speak, about 1 year and 1 month after, the culprits behind this invasion or desecration of our parliament are yet to be brought to book. We also saw cases of frequent bickering among lawmakers, and there were two major issues that happened in the lifespan of this Senate. One, they passed the highest number of bills, motions, and other interventions. On the other side, this is the Senate that had the highest number of bills rejected by any sitting president. As of today, almost 40 bills have been rejected by President Muhammadu Buhari. That's quite historic. It has never happened before. We are hoping that the next Senate, which is coming up in a matter of weeks, will learn from the mistakes of this current assembly and pass bills that are people-oriented, and also do some form of engagement with the executive side to be on the same page before certain bills are sponsored on the floor. Again, I'll go on a short break. I'll be back in a jiffy. Please stay tuned. So the second issue I want to talk about is like I told you earlier, the issue of the voting pattern lawmakers elect from both chambers, but my attention is on the Senate, it tend to adopt. Now, the current rule book or the standing rule book of the Senate 2015 only makes provision for secret ballot voting system, which means lawmakers can vote whoever they want as presiding officers without making it public. Now, the one before that, which was passed in 2011, had a provision or an option for open ballot system. But going by what the current rule book says, it means lawmakers are only eligible to vote with the current rule. Beside that, the recent retreat they had for senators elect, copies of the Senate standing rule were distributed to members elect, which means that is what they intend to use. But obviously, this arrangement has not gone down well with a particular candidate, that's the current Senate leader, Ahmad Lawan, who, alongside with the supporters, have argued very strongly that they will not accept anything short of open ballot system. They've also advanced their reasons that they want to see lawmakers who will be bold enough to flout the instruction of President Muhammadu Buhari, whose name they've been dropping of late, and also see who will go against some of the party. They feel that if they opt for the secret ballot system, which is recognized by their own rule, that some senators may go against the wish of the party and he may not emerge eventually. But the other man, Mohammed Ali Ndumen, is saying no, we must go by what the law says. If we have used the same standing rule to confirm ministers, pass series of budgets, and made other interventions, the same rule must be used in swearing in the next assembly. Now, these are the arguments. It is becoming more and more tensed, and people are apprehensive that if the issues are not resolved before the day of inauguration, which is a little below 3 weeks from now, that there will be serious crisis on that very day. There are even nations that thugs are even planning to attack. They are just in the sphere of rumor. We hope that it will end in that arena, and on that day everybody will be safe. Welcome back from that short break. Now, I want to talk about an issue that borders on the freedom of the media. If you are familiar with the Constitution of Nigeria, it states that the media, which is the creation of the law, shall hold government accountable. Government in this case means the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. That's why some scholars choose to call the media the fourth estate of the realm, which means by law we are supposed to hold government accountable. But something very dangerous is cropping up in the National Assembly, both chambers. A circular was recently released by the management or the bureaucracy of the National Assembly, obviously with the knowledge of the leadership, that a new accreditation process will now be obtainable going forward. Now, nobody is against that. You have the right to decide what people cover your activities should opt for. But some provision in that, what they're asking for, they're obviously not tenable and does not make any common sense. Now, they're asking journalists to provide their tax certificates, to provide certificate of incorporation of organizations where they work, to also provide other ridiculous credentials before you are eligible to be accredited to cover a parliament, which by law is a public institution. Now, when this whole thing started, the press corps, especially that of the senator, it was a big joke. The press corps was chased out of the gallery where they are supposed to sit and cover proceedings of the parliament. They went away with that. That has been on for about a year. They also went ahead and evicted members of the press corps from the room where they are supposed to sit and monitor events. Now they'll be cramped into a room meant for about 50 people, whereas you have about 100 pressmen who every day convert there to cover activities of the Senate. Now, if this draconian policy or law is not contained, who knows, one day they may ask us not to cover the parliament at all, and the Nigerians will only rely on what they release, which is not good for democracy. So, if you're a Nigerian and you love democracy, it's an appeal. You can talk to them, you have your representative, tell them that what they are doing is not in the interests of common sense or the rule of law, and that will help no one at the end of the day. But with the purpose of time, I will stop here, and I promise you that in a matter of days, weeks, I'll be back here to brief you as events unfold. And also rest assured that because of the closeness to the inauguration, more events will come up. That means I'll be here more often to brief you on the latest developments.